What's up, guys? Welcome back to The Truth Is. And first and foremost, sorry it's been a while. I think it's been about maybe 6 weeks, maybe longer, since I have even recorded an episode. Um, Obviously, personal stuff. And, I'm just realizing I need time to process things to really get a grasp mentally. Um, so yeah, last night I was just in my head a lot. And, my idea really for this episode was just to talk about alignment along with knowing your value and your worth. And in two of those aspects, I've realized with two personal situations that recently happened to me, not terrible guys, but, just things, just life happening. And one of them being, with my career and sponsorships. And for a long time in my career, obviously, it's like when you're starting at the bottom, you take what you can get when it comes to sponsors. And again, let me just say this. Sorry, I just put my hand open there. Let me just say this. I'm very grateful to anyone that has ever helped me along in my journey. No matter how big or how small your contribution was, I'm so grateful because I would not be a world champion. I would not be where I'm at today if it was not for the little and big people along the way, and everything in between. But with that being said, I'm now at a point, I'm a world champion. I defended my title. I'm going to continue to be a world champion. I'm going to get more belts. My legacy is only going to grow. And with that comes you have to know your worth and your value. And this message is not just for athletes, but I get this question a lot, especially more recently. I've had a lot of fighters reach out to me asking me, how I go about getting my sponsorships and what they could do, especially as women. It's definitely very hard for us in the market because a lot of people look at us as just sex appeal. And you know what I mean? And I have run into many cases I've had, and it's always a man. I hate to say this, but it's the truth. It's always a man that comes to me with business and ends up always asking me on a date, and then we end up never actually doing a sponsorship because they wanted to, instead of actually be a good person and sponsor me and help me along in my career. But with that being said, I was working with a company and I really liked what they were striving for. And like I said, I've been in this game for a very, very long time. So, you know, obviously being at the top of my game right now, it's not like I shut out certain sponsors, but you have to know again your value and your worth because you can't accept everything and everyone. Um, and with that being said, I was working with this company and over time, and I'd been speaking with this guy and his company for I think probably over a year, and we were working together slowly but surely on growing his business while I was growing and stuff like that. And I started to realize he was taking more from me than he was giving me, and that just was not working for me. Um, and that's one thing I just can't do in life. I can't do it in my career. I can't do it in my relationships, friendships, whatever. If you're taking from me way more than you're actually giving, it, it ain't gonna happen. So I'm not bashing these people. I'm not gonna say their name. I wish them all the best. We amicably split, parted ways, as far as the sponsorship, because it just, over time, there were just certain things, like my spidey senses kept tingling. Like he would say things to me and it honestly made me uncomfortable, you know? Um, and I had to really ask myself, aside from the sometimes odd questions and stuff like that, like this company sent me a debit card because they were going to send me monthly payments. Well, months had went by and no payments had come through, and he kept saying we needed to be on the phone and take these phone calls. Meanwhile, this guy's blowing up my phone on text and social media and calling me with these pointless phone calls to reiterate the same things over and over and over again. And I'm like, where's this going? You're actually wasting my time. Time is the most valuable, precious thing on this earth. We cannot get it back. So what the fuck are we doing? Are we gonna do this or are we not? Because at this point, like fighters, you have to look at yourself as a business because we are entertainers and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it is about how much we get paid, and if people actually value us. I'm not saying these people did not value me, but it just came to a point after a long time of just kind of like running circles with them. I was like, this ain't working. And we ended up kind of like hashing it out. And he even said, he's like, I just don't think this is going to work. I was like, it most definitely is not. And because I finally woke up and realized this is one, wasting my time. And two, it's not our values and our worth, it's just different. You know what I mean? And with that being said, so we parted ways, and it's one of those things. It was like an instant relief. It was a bummer because, as you guys know, it's like fighters, we live off sponsorships and we live paycheck to paycheck most times as it is. Sorry, I got a freaking hair on my lip and I got this stupid lip gloss on and I'm going to crash out because it's overstimulating me. Little ASMR. All right, whatever, we're moving on. So yeah, I just kind of, fighters, you have to ask yourself, like, does this, match my values? Does this match my morals? Do I feel comfortable? Do I see a future with this? Blah, 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 blah. Because it's not all about the money. Not all money is good money. And you have to know the difference. Especially when you get to the top and you want to stay at the top. Your value and your worth goes up tremendously. And you have to know that. If you don't know that, well, you're going to stay a bottom feeder for life because you're always going to accept the bare minimum. And guess what? That translates to everything in life. You have to have boundaries and you have to know your values and your morals and your, and just your worth. And I say that because for the longest time, I did not know my worth or my value. I accepted anything and everything from everybody and everybody, anybody and everybody. And guess what? None of that shit worked out because I was just accepting anything. So now I'm very, very cautious, especially when it comes to my career, who I speak with, who I do business with. I check these people out. I check their social media. I try and do as much of a background check on people as I possibly can because, birds of a feather flock together. You know what I'm saying? So, yes. So that kind of happened. So that was one thing, it's like I was really bummed about it because I'm like, damn, like I was really hoping it could work out. And you know what I realized? And I hate to say this, but it's the truth. I just was like counting on that little bit of monthly income. But it was not worth the fucking headache they were giving me. And ultimately, it was a great decision. It was a great decision that we both, just went our separate ways. Like I said, I wish them the very best, but it just wasn't for me. And that's okay. It's okay to wake up and realize this ain't gelling. Like this ain't matching. Transitioning into my next thing. I don't really talk about my personal life too much, but I guess this was really the point of this freaking podcast that I made. So as everybody knows, I'm single and I'm not a serial dater. I date with intention. If you are not trying to be a husband, get the fuck away from me. Okay. Like that is where I'm at. I'm trying to find me like my one person, and that's it. Okay. Okay. So with that being said, I started seeing this guy last year and recently I cut the cord. I cut the fucking cord. Again, another amicable split. Like good guy. Good guy. It was just one of those things. He doesn't want anything serious. He wants to be a hoe and that's not me. I want commitment. I want the long term. I want that. So again, I fell into this situationship or whatever it is, finally meeting someone really, really nice, which if you guys know my background, being in my last long-term relationship was an abusive relationship and it has taken me years to come back from that. So I'm very particular about who I let around me. Again, same thing as my career. You have to be very careful who you let in your circle. But again, it's just nice to actually meet a good guy. But with that being said, we don't align. I'm up here. He's over here somewhere. He's off over there and I'm off over there. And with that, in the Bible, unequally yoked. And it's not, to me, it's not about finances. I don't look at a man for what they have and their money. I look at you for your character, what you have in here and what you have in here. I am now, obviously, as you guys know, walking in my faith with the Lord. And I'm really diving deep into that. And I realized I cannot even talk to someone who, listen, you don't have to be some Bible thumping man, but I do want you to be in the word, whether you're at the beginning of your journey, you're in the middle or, where I'm at, it's like at the end, I don't care. but God has to be in your life, because if not, it's not going to work. And I realized one of the last things he had said to me was he hasn't been close to God. He's felt a lot of distance. And I could tell. And I told him that. I could tell, you know, and over time, it's just like I said, him and I, we had a cool ass friendship. And, you know, that's what bums me out the most, is knowing like he was one of the homies for sure. Like I loved hanging out with him, but that ain't enough. That's not enough. Again, I know my value and I know my worth as a woman, and I know what I want. I know what I need. And I'm not going to stop till I find it. So it's like you have to take the time to really know who you are and what you want out of life. Because if you don't, you're going to continue wasting your time and efforts on people, places, and things that aren't on the journey for you, like aren't on your path. And yeah, so, you know, honestly, kudos to me, because I'm like the usual, like, a little bit of attachment issues where I'm like, oh, well, you know, it's like maybe I can wait and I can try and we could see. I did that for too long. I wasted too much time with this man. You know, to know literally the last things we said to each other, I was like, listen, I need more. I need something serious. I know, you know, I need clarity. I need intent, and you can't give me that. And he literally was like, no, I cannot. You know, no problem. Next, you know, so yes. So that's kind of like, those are like the two things that I've been like processing and realizing, that just realizing if it is not in alignment with me now, or the future that I am trying to build and the future me that I'm trying to become, it has no motherfucking room in my motherfucking life. Yeah, gotta go, because again, you're wasting the most precious thing I have on this earth. We all came into this world with a time limit on our lives, and we do not know when that is. And I'm so blessed every day when I get to wake up and God wakes me up and puts my 2 feet on the ground, because that means I have another day to try again. And every day I love that I get to wake up and I get to see that this shit ain't it. The person, the place, the things, this just isn't it. This isn't the end all be all. There, you know, there's always more and there's always better. And I hope more people start to realize their value and their worth. Now, don't get cocky and confident in yourself, because for me to truly understand who I was, I had to die. And I've had to continue to die. And I've had to continue to shed myself and my skin over and over and over again and grow. And it is very painful and it's very hard. And I've realized a lot of people do not have the capacity or the strength to do that. And I know it is hard. I have been to the depths. I know how to swim for years in dark, deep waters. So I think that just is why I'm able to go so deeply into myself and be able to recognize what still needs to be worked on. Damn, I just went off on a tangent. My bad, y'all. I didn't know I was going there. Anyway, but yes, you have to, but to be, like I said, to be able to find out who you really are, one, you're going to have to suffer and struggle in life, because that's what's going to make you grow and understand and see where you're at in life, see what you're capable of. And I just want you guys to know you're always capable of more. You are always capable of more physically and mentally, but you have to push yourself, and no one is here to push you. It's you versus you. You have to do it for yourself. And God, you know, he literally was abused and died for us. So stop fucking around and get your shit together. Anyway, so yes, that was my message for today, you know, just about making sure that things are in alignment with you. And I know it can be difficult to sit here and be, you know, and to sometimes have to cut people off and move on from people, even people, friends. Actually, I had to cut a friendship off. Excuse me. I had to cut a friendship off of someone I was friends with for 5 years off last year, because it just wasn't gelling anymore. You know, he's over here and I'm over here, and it's like, dude, like, what are we doing? So It's not always easy, um, but the easy road doesn't get you anywhere. So yes, fighters, but everybody, it's like look at your lives and really what I do and what I've done, especially in times of question and times of need. I actually sit in front of the mirror and I look at myself in the eyes and I ask myself, what do you want and who do you want to be? And not just that, I'll write these things down on a note, on a whatever, in my phone or on a piece of paper, whatever it is, so I can look at these things all the time and remind myself of where I'm trying to go and who I want to become in this life. And sometimes, the path is extremely lonely, and that's okay. In the loneliness, but also in your solitude, is where you will find yourself more and more. The less distractions you have from people, places, and things, the more you will find out about yourself, and the more you will see how capable you are to let go of the person, let go of the sponsorship, let go of the job that is draining the fuck out of you. Um, yeah. That's it. That's all I got today, guys. So sorry it took me so long to come back. Like I said, just been processing things and yeah, that's it. Know your fucking worth. Don't and if anything or anyone starts to make you question it, I can promise you a million times over, wrap it up. Wrap it up. Because if you have to question yourself and your worth, they are not for you. The thing is not for you. You are not wrong. Your intuition is never wrong. Listen to yourself, listen to your heart, you know, and just go with that. Sometimes, faith of a mustard seed, that's all you need. A little bit of faith. I mean, shit. Technically, we believe in God. We ain't never met this man. At least I haven't. I mean, yes, I've met him, but no, I haven't in the physical, in our human flesh realm. If you know if you know, you know. But damn, brain fart. I need some more coffee, guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys took away something good today, and hopefully I won't take as long next time to make an episode. I'll see you next time.